Garden keeper. Rose hummed while painting the dark evening forest where the last rays of setting sun decorated the trees. This feels somehow familiar. She let her eyes see more than she had painted. This was a different version of the flow that sometimes took the lead, when brush met hand and she simply knew what needed to come. These were no perfect paintings, just her escape from reality. Yeah, the reality. She sighed. The reality was that in 6 hours, at first light, the bulldozers would arrive. Rose set down her brush and stared at the canvas. The painting showed something that didn't exist anymore. The old Ashwood community garden where she'd spent every summer of her childhood with her grandmother. The city council had sold the land to developers 6 months ago. Tomorrow they'd tear down the greenhouse, uproot the ancient oak tree, and pave over 3 generations of carefully tended soil. Her phone buzzed with another text from her mother. "Rose, I know you're at the garden, but you can't keep sleeping in that shed. You've called in sick 3 days in a row. Come home." But Rose couldn't leave. Not yet. She'd been staying in the old potting shed for a week, painting by day, and sleeping under stars that soon would be blocked by condominiums. The security guards had tried to move her the first few days, but something made them hesitant, reluctant. They'd walk toward her with official purpose, then find excuses to leave her alone. Still, they couldn't override the demolition orders that would come with dawn. Strange things had been happening since she'd started her vigil. Plants that should have withered were thriving. The roses her grandmother had planted 20 years ago were blooming out of season, their scent so intense it made the air shimmer. And the paintings? The paintings were showing her things that had never been, or maybe things that were always there but hidden. "You're not just painting what you see anymore, are you?" Rose spun around, nearly knocking over her easel. A man stood at the garden's edge, tall and lean, with earth-brown hair and eyes the colour of deep forest. He wore a simple green jacket that seemed to blend with the shadows, making him look like he'd grown from the garden itself. "I'm sorry," Rose said, heart hammering. "I know I'm not supposed to be here, but you're exactly where you're supposed to be." He stepped closer, and Rose caught a scent like rain on summer leaves. "I'm Ash. I've been looking for you. Looking for me." Rose backed up until her spine hit the old oak tree. "Are you with the developers? Because I'm not causing any trouble. I'm just..." "You're awakening." His voice was gentle but certain. "And not a moment too soon." Rose stared at him. "Awakening to what?" Instead of answering, Ash moved to her easel and studied the painting. "You've painted the heart grove." "The what?" "Look again." He gestured to the canvas. "Really look." Rose turned back to her painting and gasped. The forest she'd painted wasn't just any forest. Ancient trees formed a perfect circle around a clearing where silver light pooled like water. Flowers glowed with inner fire. And there, half hidden among the roots of the largest tree, was a doorway carved with symbols that hurt to look at directly. "I didn't paint that," Rose whispered. "Those symbols, that door, I've never seen them before." "Your hands remember what your mind has forgotten." Ash touched the oak tree behind her, and Rose felt a thrum of recognition, as if the tree was singing in a language she almost understood. "Your grandmother never told you what she really was, did she?" "She was a gardener." "She grew the most beautiful flowers in the city." But even as Rose said it, she remembered other things. The way her grandmother could make seeds sprout just by humming to them. How she always knew which plants needed what, as if they whispered their needs to her. The strange visitors who came at dawn and dusk, bringing seeds that sparkled like jewels. Her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. Rose pulled it out and saw 7 missed calls from her mother, 3 texts from her boss, and a voicemail from her landlord. Reality crashed back over her like cold water. Elara Thorne was the guardian of this place, Ash said quietly, and before her, her grandmother, and before her, hers. For 200 years your family has kept the door between worlds sealed and safe. Rose's legs gave out. She slid down the oak's trunk until she was sitting among its roots. You're talking about magic. Real magic. She clutched her phone like an anchor to sanity. This is insane. I'm probably having some kind of breakdown. People don't just disappear into magical gardens and... the kind that's dying. Ash knelt beside her, and where his knees touched the earth, tiny flowers bloomed. There are only 7 heart groves left in North America. This is the last one on the East Coast, when they destroy it tomorrow. Stop! Rose held up her hands, heart pounding. Just stop for a minute. You're asking me to believe in magic? That my grandmother was some kind of... witch? And that I'm supposed to be one too? Guardian, Ash corrected gently. Guardian, witch, whatever. Rose's voice cracked. I have a job. I have responsibilities. My mother is worried sick about me. Look at these messages. And my boss is probably going to fire me if I don't show up tomorrow. She scrolled through her mother's increasingly frantic texts. Rose, you've been at that garden for over a week. I'm worried about you. Please just call me back so I know you're okay. My mom is really worried about me, Rose whispered. She thinks I'm having some kind of breakdown. What would you tell her? Ash asked quietly. If you went home right now, how would you explain the past week? The way you've been drawn here, the way the plants respond to you, the paintings that show you things you've never seen. Rose opened her mouth to answer and found she couldn't. How could she explain that she'd felt more alive in this garden than she had in years? That leaving felt like cutting off a piece of herself? The door will break open, she asked, trying to focus. Worse. It will close forever. His expression was grim. The Thornwood realm has been connected to this world for 1,000 years. Without the grove, without a guardian to tend the connection, both worlds will... fade. Rose wrapped her arms around her knees. And you think I'm supposed to be this guardian? I can barely keep my houseplants alive. I work in insurance. I spend my days processing claims for water damage and car accidents. I'm nobody special. Can't you keep plants alive? Ash smiled sadly. When did you last lose one, Rose? She started to answer, then stopped. When had she last lost a plant? Even the supposedly impossible orchid her mother had given her was thriving. And the dying roses her landlord had been ready to tear out had somehow recovered the day after she'd moved in. I thought I just had good luck with plants. Your grandmother had the same luck. The kind that could make apple trees bloom in winter and roses grow in snow. But she also lived a perfectly normal life, Rose. She had a house in the city, friends at the community centre, a bridge club every Thursday. Rose looked up sharply. She did. Being a guardian doesn't mean abandoning the human world. It means bridging both worlds. Ash's voice was patient. Your grandmother tended this garden and lived her human life. She just happened to be the only person standing between two realms and complete magical collapse. No pressure or anything, Rose muttered. Her phone rang. Mom. Rose stared at the screen, torn between answering and letting it go to voicemail. Answer it, Ash said quietly. Rose swiped to accept. Hi, Mom. Rose? Oh, thank God, where are you? I've been calling for hours and... I'm still at the garden, Mom. I'm sorry. I just needed some time to think. Think about what? You've been camping out there for over a week without really explaining why. Your boss called me when you didn't show up for work again. I'm worried about you, honey. This isn't like you. Rose closed her eyes. Her mother knew her too well. Something like that, she managed. Come home. Whatever it is, we can talk about it. You can take some time off work, figure things out. But please don't just disappear on me again. I ... Rose looked at Ash, who was listening without judgment. Can I call you back in a few minutes? I promise I'll call back. Rose ... Mom, I promise. Give me 10 minutes. She hung up before her mother could protest and immediately felt guilty about it. She loves you, Ash observed. She does. And she's going to think I've completely lost my mind. Rose stood up and paced to the edge of the garden. Let's say I believe you about all this. Let's say I accept that magic is real and I'm some kind of hereditary guardian. What exactly does that mean for my actual life? What do you want it to mean? That's not an answer. Ash stood and followed her. It's the only answer that matters. Your grandmother chose to live mostly in the human world, visiting the grove daily, but maintaining her normal life. She had relationships, hobbies, a social circle. The magic enhanced her life. It didn't replace it. But she never married. Rose had always wondered about that. She had one great love, your grandfather. But when your mother was born, she chose to focus on raising her child and fulfilling her guardian duties rather than pursue marriage. Ash's voice grew soft. She made sacrifices for the responsibility. That doesn't have to be your story. Rose felt her cheeks warm. What happens if I do this? Day to day, I mean. Do I quit my job? Move out of my apartment? Become some kind of hermit who only talks to trees? You could quit the job that makes you miserable and pursue your art seriously. The magic would help with that. Your paintings would have power, meaning. People would be drawn to them without knowing why. Ash gestured to her easel. You could keep your apartment, or find something closer to the garden. You'd need to visit here daily, tend the grove, maintain the balance between worlds. But you'd still be Rose Thorn, still be human, still have relationships and choices. And you? I'm bound to the Thornwood Grove, but I can cross between realms. If you chose to be my partner in this, we could tend both worlds, together. Rose turned to face him fully. Partnership. Not just... we barely know each other. We have time to get to know each other. Centuries of it, if we choose. Ash stepped closer. But I won't lie, there's something between us already. You feel it too. She did feel it. Had felt it the moment she'd seen him, like recognition of something she'd been missing without knowing it. This is crazy, she whispered. Yes. I could be having a psychotic break, hallucinating all of this. You could be... And you're asking me to give up everything I know, everything safe and normal, and... Am I? Ash challenged gently. What exactly would you be giving up, Rose? A job you hate, paintings no one ever sees, a life you've been trying to escape every day since your grandmother died? Rose flinched because he was right. But still. My mother, my friends, the few people who actually know me. They'd still be there. You'd still be you, just more yourself than you've ever been. Rose closed her eyes and felt the garden around her, not just with her ordinary senses, but with something deeper. She could sense the network of roots beneath the soil, the whispered communications between flowers, the slow and patient thoughts of trees. It was like finally hearing music that had been playing all her life at a frequency just below her perception. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. Rose, I'm starting to really worry. Please, just let me know you're safe. I need to go home, Rose said suddenly. I need to think about this without all of this around me. She gestured to the garden. I need to be in my normal life and figure out if I can really walk away from it. Ash nodded, though she saw disappointment flicker across his face. The door will still be here tomorrow morning. But after the bulldozers come, I know. Rose gathered her painting supplies with shaking hands. I know the stakes, but I can't make this decision in a magical haze. I need to go home, talk to my mother, sit in my ugly apartment, and really think about what I'd be choosing. And if you choose to walk away? Rose met his eyes. Then I guess both worlds fade, and you go back to being alone. And you go back to sleepwalking through your life. The words stung because they were true, but Rose needed to be sure, needed to make this choice with her eyes wide open. I'll be back before dawn, she said. One way or another, I'll be back. Rose's apartment had never felt smaller or more suffocating. She sat on her threadbare couch, staring at the 7 houseplants that somehow thrived despite the dim light and her frequent neglect. Her orchid, the one her mother insisted was impossible to keep alive, bloomed in defiant purple glory on the windowsill. Her phone rang again. This time, she answered on the first ring. Mom. Rose, thank God. Are you home? Are you safe? I'm home. I'm safe. Rose pulled her knees up to her chest. Mom, can I ask you something about Grandma? A pause. Of course, sweetheart. What about her? Did you ever think there was something different about her? The way she was with plants? Her mother's laugh was tired. Oh, Rose. Are you having one of those nights where you miss her too much? I know you're struggling since she passed. I'm serious, Mom. Did she ever seem magical to you? Another pause, longer this time. Rose, are you okay? Really okay. Because you're worrying me. Just humour me. Please. Your grandmother was special, yes. She had a gift with growing things. But magic? Her mother's voice got that careful tone she used when she thought Rose was being fanciful. Honey, she was just a very talented gardener. What about her visitors? The people who came at strange hours? She had friends from all over. People who shared her interests. But Rose heard the uncertainty now. Rose, where is this coming from? Rose stared at her reflection in the black window. Did her eyes look different? Or was she imagining things? Mom, what if I told you I wanted to quit my job? I'd ask what took you so long. Her mother's voice warmed with relief at the change of subject. You've been miserable there for years. And what if I wanted to focus on my art seriously? Really try to make something of it? I'd say it's about time. You're talented, Rose. You always have been. I just never understood why you kept hiding it. Rose touched one of the orchid's perfect blooms. It seemed to pulse slightly under her fingertip, but that could have been her imagination. Mom, I need to tell you something, and I need you to really listen. Okay. Her mother's voice went serious. I'm listening. I've been staying at the old community garden. The one they're going to tear down tomorrow. Rose ... Let me finish. I've been painting there, and things have been happening. Strange things. Good things, but strange. Rose told her mother everything. The paintings that showed things she'd never seen. The way plants seemed to respond to her presence. The man who claimed to be from another world. The choice she had to make before dawn. The silence stretched long after she finished. Rose, her mother said finally, very gently. Sweetheart, you've been under a lot of stress. Losing your grandmother, hating your job, feeling stuck. Sometimes when we're grieving and lost, our minds can create. Mum, there are flowers in my hair right now. Actual flowers growing out of my hair. Another silence. Rose, I think you should come stay with me tonight. We can talk to someone in the morning, get you some help. I'm not having a breakdown. Rose stood up and walked to her easel, where her latest painting waited. But it wasn't the forest anymore. Sometime during their conversation, it had changed. Now it showed her apartment, but with vines growing through the walls and flowers blooming from the floorboards. And there, sitting on her couch, was a woman who looked like Rose, but with light in her eyes and magic in her hands. "Mom," Rose whispered, "the painting just changed. While I was talking to you, it changed itself." "That's not possible, honey." "I know it's not possible." But it happened. Rose touched the canvas, and the painted flowers rustled under her fingers. "Mom, what if magic is real? What if Grandma really was something more than just a good gardener?" The longest silence yet. "Rose," her mother said carefully, "your grandmother used to say the strangest things sometimes. About the garden being more than it seemed, about responsibility she couldn't explain. I always thought it was just the way she talked about things she loved." Rose's heart stopped. "What kind of things?" "She'd say the garden needed her, that she couldn't travel far or be away too long because something would die without her attention. Not just plants. She made it sound bigger than that." Her mother's voice got smaller. "I never understood what she meant." "Mom, and the visitors?" "You're right, they did come at odd hours, dawn and dusk usually. People I never recognized from all different backgrounds. They'd bring her seeds sometimes, but not normal ones. They looked like jewels." Rose sank back onto the couch, the phone pressed tight against her ear. "After she died," her mother continued slowly, "I went to the garden to say goodbye, I guess. The plants were already starting to look different, sad. Like they were mourning too." "Why didn't you ever tell me this?" "Because it sounded crazy." "Because I convinced myself I was imagining things, romanticizing an old woman's gardening hobby." Her mother's voice cracked. "But Rose, if you're telling me that magic is real, that your grandmother was some kind of guardian, would you believe me?" "I don't know, but I believe that you believe it, and I believe that you're not having a breakdown." A pause. "Show me." "What? The flowers in your hair?" "I'm coming over." "Mom, it's almost midnight. I don't care. If my daughter is telling me she's discovered magic, I need to see it for myself." 20 minutes later, Rose opened her door to find her mother standing in the hallway with car keys in her hand and determination in her eyes. "Show me," her mother said, without preamble. Rose led her to the orchid on the windowsill. As her mother watched, Rose touched one of the blooms and it pulsed with subtle light. Just for a moment, barely visible, but definitely there. "Oh my God!" Her mother reached out to touch the flower. It pulsed again, brighter this time. "I felt that. Like energy." "It's getting stronger," Rose admitted. "Whatever's happening to me." Her mother stepped into the apartment and immediately went to the easel. "This painting." "Rose, this is impossible." "I know. It's your apartment, but magical." "I know." Rose joined her mother in front of the canvas. "Mom, I have to choose." "Before dawn, I can accept this responsibility, this guardianship thing, or I can walk away and let both worlds die." Her mother studied the painting for a long time. "What does your heart tell you?" "That I want to choose magic, that I want to be more than I've been, that I want to matter." Rose's voice broke. "But I'm scared. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I mess it up?" "Rose!" Her mother turned to face her. "Look at yourself. Really look." Rose turned to the mirror on the wall and saw what her mother meant. There was something different about her, a subtle luminescence to her skin, a depth to her eyes that hadn't been there before. She looked like herself, but somehow more vivid, more present, more real. "You can see it because you're family," Rose realized. "Because grandmother's blood runs in you too, even if the magic skipped your generation." "You're already changing," her mother said softly. "The magic has already begun to recognize you. The question is whether you'll choose it back fully. And if I do, what happens to us, to you and me? Her mother smiled through tears. I get a daughter who's finally living her true life, who's found her purpose, who can paint impossible things and make them real. She touched Rose's cheek. Honey, I've been watching you fade away for years. If magic can bring you back to life, then I choose magic too. Rose threw her arms around her mother, breathing in the familiar scent of lavender and comfort. I'm scared, she whispered. Good. If you weren't scared, it wouldn't be worth doing. Her mother held her tight. But Rose, whatever you choose it fully. Don't spend the rest of your life wondering what if. When they finally pulled apart, Rose's mother looked at the clock on the stove. It's 3 a.m. Don't you need to be somewhere before dawn? Rose nodded, suddenly sure. I need to be at the garden. Then let's go. Mom, you don't have to. Like hell I don't. You think I'm going to miss my daughter becoming magical? Besides, her mother's smile was fierce. Someone needs to witness this moment. Someone from your old life needs to be there when you choose your new one. They drove through the empty streets in companionable silence, Rose's flowers glowing softly in the darkness of the car. When they reached the garden, Rose could see Ash waiting by the oak tree, his own subtle luminescence answering hers. Is that him? Her mother asked quietly. That's him. He's beautiful, and he looks at you like you hung the stars. Rose felt her cheeks warm. Mom, I'm just saying, if you're going to choose magic, at least there's a handsome magical man involved. Despite everything, Rose laughed. I love you. I love you too. Now go save some worlds. Rose got out of the car and walked toward Ash, her mother following at a respectful distance. Dawn was still an hour away, but she could hear the rumble of engines in the distance, the bulldozers staging for their assault. You came back, Ash said, and she heard relief and hope, and something deeper in his voice. In the pre-dawn darkness, she could see that same subtle glow around him that she was beginning to recognize in herself. I came back, Rose agreed. But I need you to understand, I'm not choosing this just because the alternative is terrible. I'm choosing it because for the first time in my life, something feels right. This feels right. And your mother? Ash glanced over Rose's shoulder. Is going to make sure you treat her daughter well, or you'll answer to me, Rose's mother called out cheerfully. Ash's smile was radiant. Yes, Mom. Rose turned back to look at her mother one more time. I'll still be me. You'll be better than you. You'll be who you were always meant to be. And you, Rose found herself asking, what are you in all this? Ash's eyes darkened. I'm the guardian of the Thornwood Grove, the mirror of this place in the other realm. For 50 years I've been watching this door weaken, watching the connection fray. I've been waiting for Ilara's heir to come into her power. 50 years? Rose stared at him. He looked maybe 30. Time moves differently for us. I've been 30 for the past 40 years. He touched her hand, and Rose felt warmth spread up her arm like sunlight through water. If you take this responsibility, you'll find the years sit lightly on you too. Rose closed her eyes and felt the garden around her, not just with her ordinary senses, but with something deeper. She could sense the network of roots beneath the soil, the whispered communications between flowers, the slow and patient thoughts of trees. It was like finally hearing music that had been playing all her life at a frequency just below her perception. The bulldozers come at dawn, she said. Yes. And if I don't choose now? Then we say goodbye to each world, and these colours fade slowly, and I go back to watching mine die by degrees. Rose opened her eyes and looked at Ash. Really looked. Now she could see what she'd missed before. The faint luminescence of his skin, the way shadows bent around him like living things, the depth in his eyes that spoke of decades spent tending magic. He was beautiful in the way old forests were beautiful, wild and deep and utterly alive. If I do this, will I be alone? I mean, besides the plants? Ash's smile was like dawn breaking. The guardian of Ashwood doesn't work alone. She has a partner, someone to help tend the door, to walk between worlds with her, to share the responsibility and the magic. Someone like you. If she'll have me. His hand was still on hers, warm and steady. I've been waiting a long time to not be alone either. Rose felt something shift inside her chest, like a door opening that she hadn't even known was locked. What do I have to do? Stand with me at the heart of the grove. Let the old magic recognize you. Accept the responsibility willingly. He stood and offered her his hand. But Rose, once you choose, there's no going back. This will change everything about your life. Rose took his hand and let him help her up. Good. I was tired of the old everything anyway. They walked deeper into the garden, past the neat rows of vegetables and herbs, past the greenhouse where her grandmother used to hum to the seedlings. With each step, the garden seemed to shimmer and shift, becoming wilder and more alive. Flowers turned to follow their passage. Trees whispered overhead. The air itself seemed to thicken with possibility. At the very heart of the garden stood the great oak tree, but now Rose could see it was more than a tree. Its roots formed a perfect spiral, diving deep into the earth. Its trunk was carved with the same symbols she'd somehow painted, glowing softly silver in the twilight. And there, between the largest roots, was the door from her painting. Not carved wood, but an archway of living tree that looked out onto a forest of silver and starlight. The Heart Grove, Ash said softly, the place where your world and mine touch. Through the doorway, Rose could see another garden, wilder than this one, where flowers bloomed with actual light and streams flowed upward through the air. And beyond it, a forest that stretched to a horizon where 3 moons hung in a sky the colour of deep emeralds. It's beautiful, she breathed. It's dying, Ash said sadly. Look closer. Rose focused on the other garden, and now she could see what he meant. The edges were fading, becoming translucent. Some of the light flowers were dim, their glow guttering like candles in wind. The streams moved sluggishly, and patches of the silver forest stood empty, as if the trees had simply ceased to exist. Without a guardian here to maintain the connection, the thornwood is losing cohesion, Ash explained. And without the thornwood to anchor it, this grove is just mundane earth that can be bought and sold and paved over. Rose stepped closer to the door and felt the magic pull at her, recognizing something in her blood that belonged to this place. What do I have to do? Put your hands on the tree. Accept the guardianship. Let the magic remake you. Ash moved to stand behind her, his hands resting lightly on her shoulders. I'll anchor you so you don't get lost in the change. Rose reached out and pressed her palms against the oak's living bark. The moment her skin made contact, the world exploded into sensation. She felt the vast network of roots spreading beneath the earth, connecting every plant for miles around. She sensed the slow thoughts of trees, the quick, bright minds of flowers, the deep dreams of seeds waiting to sprout. Power flowed up from the earth and down from the sky, and she was the channel between them, the point where 2 worlds balanced on a knife's edge. Choose, whispered a voice that might have been her grandmother's, or the trees, or her own heart finally speaking truth. Choose to tend, choose to guard, choose to bridge the gap between what is and what could be. I choose, Rose said aloud, and the magic roared through her like wildfire. Her vision exploded with colour, not just the green of growing things, but the silver of starlight and the gold of dawn and the deep blue of midnight soil. She could see the life force flowing through every blade of grass, every insect, every molecule of air. She was connected to it all, responsible for it all, able to shape and guide and heal it all. When the rush of sensation finally settled, Rose opened eyes that she somehow knew now glowed with the soft green light of new leaves. Her hair felt different. When she touched it, it was threaded with tiny flowers that bloomed and faded and bloomed again. Her skin hummed with energy, and she could feel the heartbeat of the earth itself. "How do you feel?" Ash asked softly. Rose turned to look at him and saw him truly for the first time. His magic called to hers like recognizing like. He was beautiful and wild and eternal, and the loneliness she'd carried all her life finally had an answer. "I feel like I'm home," she said. Ash smiled and tiny flowers bloomed in the grass at his feet. "Welcome home, Guardian." In the distance, Rose heard the rumble of engines, the bulldozers arriving early. But when she looked toward the sound, she felt no fear. Instead, she reached out with her new awareness and whispered to the machine's metal hearts, and one by one, their engines sputtered and died. "They can't destroy what they can't touch," she said, watching confusion spread through the demolition crew as they tried and failed to restart their equipment. "And they can't see what doesn't want to be seen," Ash added. He gestured, and the garden shimmered like heat waves rising from summer pavement. To ordinary eyes, the lot would now look like nothing but an empty field overgrown with weeds. "What about the legal issues? The city council? The developers?" "There are ways to handle mundane concerns," Ash said. "Property records can be adjusted. Zoning laws can develop unexpected complications. The garden has friends among the human population who don't even know they're being influenced." Rose felt the truth of it, the magic spreading out in subtle threads, making people forget about the development project, making them remember instead that this land was protected, had always been protected, would always be protected. "And now," she asked, "now we tend both gardens. We learn to walk between worlds. We heal what's been damaged and guard against future threats." Ash stepped closer to her, and Rose felt the rightness of it, like two halves of a whole finally coming together. "We won't be the same people we were yesterday." "Good," Rose said again, and reached up to touch his face. His skin was warm under her fingers, real and solid, and alive. "I was tired of being who I was yesterday." When he kissed her, Rose tasted rain and earth and growing things. She felt his magic twine with hers, creating something stronger than either could manage alone. Around them, the garden burst into bloom, not just the mundane flowers that had been planted there, but magical blossoms that glowed with their own light, singing in harmonies that made the air itself dance. "The guardian of Ashwood," Ash murmured against her lips, "and her partner in tending the worlds." "Rose and Ash," she laughed, realizing the poetry of it. "Plant guardians with plant names. Were we destined for this? Does it matter? We're here now. We choose this now." He took her hand and led her toward the doorway between worlds. "Come see your other garden." Rose stepped through the arch of living wood and felt the shift in the air, thinner here, charged with possibilities that didn't exist in the mundane world. The Thornwood Grove was indeed beautiful, all silver trees and flowers made of crystallized light. But she could see the damage too, the places where the magic had worn thin. "We have work to do," she said. "Centuries of it," Ash agreed. "Are you ready for centuries, Rose?" She looked at him, at the magical realm that was now partly her responsibility, at the doorway leading back to the mundane world that was also her charge. She thought of her old life, the grey office, the lonely apartment, the paintings no one ever saw. Then she thought of magic and purpose, and a partner who understood the language her heart had been speaking all along. "I'm ready," she said, and meant it. Together, they began the work of healing worlds. As dawn broke over both gardens, Rose painted her first guardian painting, not an escape from reality, but a map of the new reality she'd chosen. In it, two figures tended a garden that bloomed across the boundaries between worlds, their love the bridge that kept both realms whole. The bulldozers never came back. The developers found themselves mysteriously enthusiastic about a different project across town, and if anyone noticed that the old Ashwood Community Garden seemed to be thriving despite being supposedly abandoned, they forgot about it as soon as they looked away. Some things, after all, are more real than property records.